The Department of Military Science, also called Army ROTC, trains and develops students to become cadets and leaders. The department commissions officers into the active Army, Army National Guard, and the Army Reserve. Erin Holdsclaw is an agriculture education major and is an Army ROTC cadet. She is here today to speak about her involvement with Army ROTC. Thanks for being here today, Erin.
Thanks for having me.
So tell me a little bit about yourself. You aren't actually from South Dakota, but you always kind of were interested in agriculture. Tell me about how you decided to come to South Dakota State and how you decided on your major.
I'm originally from North Carolina. I transferred up here in 2016 to pursue my degree in agricultural education. And that came about from having a history with my family farm and growing up around it and realizing that some of my peers didn't have that background and they lacked that knowledge of agriculture, which I think is so important in this world of knowing where your food comes from. And as I started researching agriculture and careers, it came about, I found an article talking about how there aren't enough agricultural educators for our high school programs. I know for me, that was a big part of my high school career too, was my ag classes, and I wanted to give that opportunity to future students. So that's where it came from.
That's really awesome. So you knew that you wanted to become an agriculture educator, but did you know that you wanted to become involved with ROTC?
Sort of. When I chose South Dakota State, I knew there was a small ROTC program here, and so that was part of my decision, was to kind of fill out the program and see. I have prior enlistment service. I enlisted right out of high school into the Army National Guard, and that kind of started my career path with the military. And I was like, I'm in college and ROTC is this thing. Maybe I should look at doing both. And so here I am today doing both.
So we also have Air Force ROTC here. Why did you choose Army over Air Force?
It's a lot of, for me, family played into it some. Every generation of my family has served in the Army, so it was kind of like, okay, so this is what everybody else has done. And Army offered, when I enlisted especially, a lot of different jobs. Air Force has a ton, but I liked what Army offered me and the experience of being a soldier.
So tell me a little bit about some things that you do through the Army ROTC program.
Oh, there's a lot that we get to do as a cadet. The camaraderie, especially just being in the program, is awesome. And then my big thing for me is being in the Ranger Challenge, and our Ranger Buddy teams has been probably my best experiences. So Ranger Challenge is our varsity, what we call our varsity sport. And we have 9-man and 5-man teams that compete together against our brigade teams. So there's 30 schools that we've had the opportunity to compete against, but it's also about using that soldier knowledge and learning and making sure that we're giving opportunities to junior cadets to develop those leadership skills and to practice our skills, which is a lot of fun.
What are some of the things that you have learned through being in the ROTC program? Like, how can you translate those skills you've learned to your real life?
It's an easy transition once you figure out kind of what you're looking at. ROTC is all about being a leader in decision making and using those resources that you have, and how do you use those. And especially I've seen it even as I've started going out into the field in my education courses of how do I prepare. ROTC has taught me time management, and I can spend this much time and I don't need that much time for this, or I do, and taking care of myself and making sure that I have those resources and not being afraid to seek out a different path or a different resource that maybe is not traditionally thought about.
What would you say is probably like the most fulfilling part of being a part of this program and learning the skills that you've had?
The most fulfilling part is partly putting on the uniform every day and having that opportunity to serve the nation is a great opportunity, and it's something I definitely am thankful for. But it's also having that camaraderie, and especially now as a senior, being able to reach back to some of those freshmen and being that mentor and seeing their growth already even in one semester of school, and being excited to see them keep growing, and even looking forward to when I commission and become an officer, of having that opportunity with my junior enlisted soldiers of bettering their career and helping them find those resources.
And so you were telling me that at a certain point in your college career, you decide whether or not you're going to enlist. Can you tell me a little bit about that and what drove you to your decision? Right.
So ROTC, the freshman and the sophomore, the 100 and 200 level courses are open to anybody on a college campus. There's no commitment based. And I would encourage a lot of students to do that, because you do learn a lot of that decision making and leadership skills in those classes. But once you reach the end of what's traditionally your sophomore year, to continue on in the program, you have to receive a contract for the Army and say, yes, I'll serve for so many years after I complete college as an officer. And so for me, that commitment came in my sophomore year. They offered me the opportunity, and I chose to, based on that prior service that I had with the National Guard. I really liked where I was at and the opportunities that being an officer would let me have with more soldiers and more ability to train and be the leader in the organization.
You're a senior now here at SDSU, and you're going to graduate in May, and you want to pursue teaching, but you also are going to be a part of the Army Reserve. Tell me a little bit about that.
I took a guaranteed reserve scholarship when I came in, and that means that I have a commitment to serve part-time with the South Dakota National Guard is what I've chosen. And so when I commission in May, when I graduate, I'll pursue my education teaching career full-time, but I'll also serve the state of South Dakota on a part-time basis. Traditionally, it's a 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks a year. And that varies depending on missions and stuff as the South Dakota Guard responds to local or national commitments as needed. And it's a balancing act from then on of being able to successfully do both careers at the same time.
You've had a great experience through Army ROTC. Why should other students here at SDSU consider joining?
ROTC, like I said, it's all about learning to be that leadership and those decision-making skills that are relevant no matter what your career path. Like, there's not one certain major that does ROTC. We have nurses, we have teachers. Yeah, so it's open to all majors, and it's relevant because it's all about, some of it's how to deal with stress, because ROTC does add a lot to your college career, but you learn how to mitigate that stress and how to operate within that stress and when it gets too much, and how to seek help and balance with friends and all. So it's really about learning how to grow and be that leader and function within those. We laugh and joke, but it's a guaranteed job after graduation too, so you do have that income and the ability to serve your community, your nation at the time.
That's wonderful. Thanks for speaking about Army ROTC at SD State, Erin. This is Between Classes. Thanks for listening.